Hello, Fansplash fans. Welcome back to Journey to Infinity War Part Thor. You see what I did there? As far as Thor, and it's Thor. There's not going to be a lot of opportunities to do that. So we just wrapped up Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, and now we're getting into the strangest entry. Like, everyone knew who Hulk was. Mm-hmm. Some people have heard of Iron Man. People know of Thor the God, but nobody's familiar with Thor the comic, really. Good job. Good job, Tyler. I'm glad you got this.
I was aware of Thor as a comic book character, but I never read any Thor comics. I did not give a shit about Thor whatsoever.
And Chris Hemsworth was an unknown commodity at this point.
Mm-hmm. Pretty new.
Tom Hiddleston was also unknown.
Again, pretty new.
Everyone knows who those two are now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you should hear my girlfriend talk about Tom Hiddleston.
You should hear me talk about Tom Hiddleston.
So this movie, though, introduces two of the greatest characters in the MCU, and that's obviously Thor and Loki.
Right.
Who would have thought that, especially after seeing the first Thor movie, that I would, really care about these characters and you wouldn't think that it would go this far. And I'm going to say that a lot, spanning so many films, and then grow like this much characterization. We've never had this much character growth in movies. That was always only found on TV.
Right.
So Thor and Loki are a great example of that, where initially it was just like, I don't care. I'll say right now, Thor 1 is not one of my favorite films.
It's not one of my favorite, but I've grown to appreciate it over time. And you can ask most people, who's your favorite Marvel villain? What are they usually going to say?
Loki.
9 out of 10.
Loki.
Yeah. Some people are now arguing Killmonger, but
I would say that they've done the best with Loki out of all their villains. I think Loki is probably the best.
You get him. You
right.
understand where he came from. The whole principle of both Thor and Loki were raised to be kings, and then the truth comes out about Loki's heritage, where your birthright was to die. You don't get anything despite how you've been raised. I think most of us would be really pissed off. We might not run off and try to rule Earth, but
he's sympathetic, but at the same time, he's obviously a villain. But so we get Asgard, we get Thor and Loki, Odin,
Anthony Hopkins,
yeah, Clarice. We get all that good stuff, and then they bring him down to Earth. His hammer falls to Earth, right?
Yeah.
And then it just becomes a chick flick from there.
Well,
That's
it opens with a bang, him fighting the frost giants, and you're like, I can get into this. Yeah, this is awesome.
This is
and
cool.
he flies through a creature's mouth and out its head, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And then, like you said, he comes down to Earth, literally and figuratively. And there's something about that should really work, and sometimes it does, where he is an arrogant, full of himself man-child, and he has to have all his powers, abilities, and heritage stripped away from him in order to grow as a character. Which by the end of the movie, I feel he does. But then we have to deal with Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings. And is it worth it?
I'm not, I never thought that their chemistry was bad. I never thought that Natalie Portman was bad in her role like most people do. But I just don't think that those characters are good. I don't think that they're good. I think that they were, scrounging for some sort of
supporting cast.
Melding pot, of a supporting cast. And I don't think they made the right choice.
Agreed. Although we do get some of the most we've gotten to see of Phil Coulson.
Especially casting-wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The casting was just not done well. This is the first time that I've never, and probably the only time, that I wasn't on board with the casting for Marvel. Phil Coulson.
Yes. And there's the line that was in the trailer and in the movie of, you made my security guards look like second-rate mall cops. That's hurtful. I enjoyed that, because we got to see him get down and dirty and beat the snot out of a bunch of people just with his bare hands, no superpowers. I got to hit, fast forward through this a little bit. We get a Hawkeye cameo. The first time we get to see Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. Everyone forgets about that. And we get to just see the building conflict between Thor and Loki, and then we get to see the Destroyer, which is kind of like Asgard's security guard. And then the Warriors 3 and Sif. I'm not going to try to think through all their names right now, but there's great chemistry between Thor and those characters, and have them come to Earth and they all fight the Destroyer together. And it just all ends up with Thor learning his lesson of humility and what it means to be king or a ruler before going back up to Asgard and kicking Loki's ass on the Bifrost bridge. I cannot speak through that right now.
Going back to Coulson, it's always great to see Coulson in the movies. So
Yes.
this is why I'm really excited for Captain Marvel. But now we have a good set of Avengers ready. You know we've got Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Thor, main staples in the Avengers, but we've also got Coulson, Nick Fury, Black Widow, and now Hawkeye.
Right.
So
It's coming together.
right.
We feel the Avengers.
We feel it. We know it's happening. And with the next film, we know that that's like, here comes the Avengers.
Well, what was the next film called?
Captain America,
The First Avenger. Yeah.
And we'll get into that. But this is the first time that you really feel like one huge achievement in cinema is about to be made.
Yeah, and the end credit scene for Iron Man 2 was Coulson finding the hammer in the middle of the desert. Like, it's all starting to come together. And I just remember being, I don't know, at this point I had to be 16, 17 years old around the time Thor came out, and I was getting really excited. So, any last thoughts about Thor?
Nope. We got to wrap it up. So,
Wrap it up.
all right.
May the film be with you guys. Stay tuned for part 5 where we talk about Captain America. Chris Evans. Good stuff.